Welcome back to our town centre garden. In the last episode, the blackbirds R2-D2 and Mrs. Blackbird lost their young daughter to a cat. This was a hard thing to witness and document. The battles between species can be shocking, especially as I didn't pay that much attention to it before. While the seagulls make freaky noises, let's see who's around today. R2-D2 still sings despite his recent loss. There are a lot of starling visitors today, so let's spot the changes occurring with the juveniles. This one has the rust and white outlines emerging in the wings and tail. The silky brown is being replaced by the iridescent black feathers. Elsa has a mouthful of food. Young starlings pop in and out of the tree. They make full use of the water bowl too. The young starlings are learning new strategies every day. It doesn't take long for the little bird to find its meal. The spy camera caught some water bowl action. The clips in between were recorded at a different time. The water bowl can be a site of fascinating interactions. Elsa loves bathing. The starlings make her jump. They should be called startlings. When the dark adult makes her leave, her husband Jerry appears. The two birds face off. Jerry snaps his beak at the starling. The starling defiantly holds its ground. Birds often poop just before they move. The starling launches itself at Jerry. Jerry wouldn't budge. He cautiously takes a drink. His intention was always to take a bath. He doesn't feel safe enough to go for it. The starling is still around. The blackbirds will have to wait until the starlings vacate the area before they can relax in the spa. Elsa is preening in the tree near her nest. The shadow of the starling is very nice in the bowl. There are dark feathers emerging in the shoulder area of the young bird. Elsa is hanging around a lot today. She's also alerting everyone to a threat. It was only a few days ago that a baby blackbird perished in that garden. Elsa remains attentive, and I can only assume she has young birds outside of the nest. The unlucky little bird that was killed recently was another one taking a trip away from home. They do this when they wish to move their wings and stretch. They may also do it if their nest is disturbed. Elsa discovered a snail. She shakes it and throws it about in order to break the shell. Uh-oh. It's lost in the hole. She has a close look at the ground. She flicks leaves out of her way. She pulls up a tiny worm. She finds a scarlet berry. One probably dropped by a wood pigeon. The starling surprises her and she's off running. She pauses on the fence to watch the tree. We can hear the baby pigeons, so there is movement on the level above her nest. She gathers some more food in her beak. The young starlings make the most of the fallen seeds, and Elsa continues foraging. The dunnock found something tasty. Elsa doesn't collect the dry seeds from the feeding station, but chooses live and gooey creatures for her young. A young magpie is vocalizing at the top of the tree. It suddenly targets the blackbird nest. The blackbird babies are screaming. Jerry flies at the intruder, but the young magpie is determined to carry out the raid. The babies are quiet now. Elsa shouts her alarm clearly. She lunges at the magpie. Its activities shake the tree as the parents look on hopelessly. The young magpie suddenly emerges and hurriedly straightens itself up. Then it dives straight back in. There are a few different birds nesting in that tree, but we can only hear the blackbirds. It's difficult to know exactly what just happened in there. Magpies will eat eggs. They will also eat the young of other birds and feed them to their own babies. It's a bird-eat-bird world. These predators are omnivores. They will eat just about anything and always take advantage of the vast buffet available to them. All of the corvids have adapted to eat a wide variety of foods, which gives their species a big advantage in the game of survival. They are also incredibly smart. As the fairy tale villain leaves, the other birds can breathe a sigh of relief. Young birds look patchy or blotchy when they are going through the change to adult. Some young birds look very scruffy, but it seems that the starlings have very tidy feathers throughout their adolescence. The rear toenails on this young bird are impressive. The starling on the wall puffs itself up. It looks funny when it deflates. Elsa's eye is being weird. The sun must be reflecting perfectly off the window into her pupil. This is a unique moment that I doubt I would capture again. She's disturbed by something near her nest. She stands guard for over 40 minutes. I'm happy to see her eye back to normal. Is it just me, or did that crow have a very low voice? The little Donnock has a sticky beak. It looks like that sellotape moment when you can't get a tiny bit off your finger. I feel you, little bird. The starling is getting a sticky beak too. He tries to get the suet off by rubbing it on the bark. The juvenile starling adopts the same pose to eat, holding the coconut still with its foot. Instead of a milk moustache, they get a suet moustache. There is a reason for Elsa's jumpiness. Her daughters are now outside of their nest. The magpie disturbed them, so they moved out of the tree. Blotchy, speckled, and a little uncertain in her actions, this young blackbird is watching and recording everything. Her sibling is a little more bold, and she watches her from the wall. She tests the food items in the bowl. It looks like many things are too tough for her. She knows it's food, but it seems that she cannot deal with these hard seeds. We know her mum is around collecting soft, squishy worms. The little bird waits for her mum to show up with fast food. I do love the pattern on these siblings. The caramel raindrops on the tops of the wings are lovely. They look like dappled sunlight through leaves. It looks like that young plumage is being replaced by the regular female blackbird feathers now. The tail feathers look like hair. I remind myself that is because they are made from the same stuff. Keratin. It's what our hair is made from, and also our fingernails. Each feather has a hard, thick hair in the middle called the quill. Each quill is lined with tiny hairs. They have to keep their hairs tidy, so they preen regularly. It is why our birds can look like they've been to the hairdressers. Each hair is lined with even tinier hairs, which help to lock each strand in place. The flight feathers on the wings of these birds are very dense. This is why we can hear the wings beating against the air. The feathers on owls are not so dense, and the long tiny hairs locking them together leave holes for the air to pass through. This means that they do not make a sound when they bat their wings against the air. This is known as silent flight. The juvenile blackbird is in the tree close to her nest. The sounds of magpies keep her on edge. One chased her out of the tree earlier. Starlings suddenly fill the shrubs. Ray, the baby wood pigeon, is trying the berries. We can hear starlings squabbling over the feeding station. The young starlings battle over the rights to the coconut of happiness. The young birds really show their assertiveness and squabble frequently. We can see black patches of their adult plumage emerging. A juvenile blackbird is curious about something in the honeysuckle. R2-D2's nest is in there. It hops around, its attention fixed on something, perhaps in the neighbouring garden. It won't allow any other birds near it right now. I study the young birds carefully to spot the difference in their markings. The darker birds are a day or two older than the lighter ones. Black patches of feathers are visible in the oldest juveniles. Can you spot the one with a suet moustache? There are so many young starlings. It's great to see these birds doing so well in the town centre. Spot the black feathers. One has a dark line on its back. Another has some black showing around the shoulders. I just learned that some starlings live in Britain permanently, but during the autumn months, others from Eastern Europe migrate across the ocean to spend their winter amongst their English family. I was also shocked to learn that the numbers of starlings in Britain are in a steep decline, with 80% of their numbers being reduced over the past 40 years. Starlings are now endangered and are included in the IUCN Red List. This is an internationally recognised list of all the endangered creatures of Earth. When I was a child, I would see great flocks of starlings performing their amazing sky dance, known as murmuration. Now this sight has become rare in the UK. Scientists think it's because of the unnatural practices of farming and other agriculture across Britain. In this country, we have so badly changed the landscape that many of our native species are in rapid decline. Farming is destroying England. How ironic. For the success of humans on this island, we must sacrifice all other life forms. This horror has been playing out for centuries on the land here. But in the last 500 years we really went to town, removing most of the forests and killing all of the toothy predators, like the lynx, the bear and the wolf and more. It's only in the last 10 years that we began rewilding Britain. I hope it's not too little too late. The starlings are foraging in the honeysuckle. The sounds of our magpies disturbs them. The adults make bold moves despite the nearby threat. But the young starling waits it out, watching carefully for any danger. The adult chooses to be under the cover of leaves and travels through the bushes. Seeing the other bird's actions, the young starling begins foraging again. It seems to be checking the hole through which the adult passed into the shadows. When it feels safe to move, it takes a long look around to see if it's being watched. Then just as it thinks about going in, something makes them all jump. It might have something to do with that magpie. Now we have seen why they are so frightening for the other birds. The wood pigeon rests somewhat comfortably on the vent. Another pigeon displaying agitation decides that the vent is his. I leave filming the crazy pigeons to watch the cute blue tits. This might be the penguin-faced blue tit, but it's getting harder to be sure. I'm not seeing lots of different blue tits at the moment, so I assume it is the same one recorded previously. It has a sibling, and they both travel with Butch, the great tit. The magpies return to the tree near the end of the day. I hope they leave those nests alone. I haven't seen many butterflies this year. I record what I do see most often. I thought these butterflies were cabbage whites, but I just checked and they're actually called large whites. This one is female. This is a red admiral. It may have lost the tip of its right wing. The lighting on this mellow pigeon is amazing. You can tell if a bird is relaxed from their body language, but also from how slowly they blink. Not only is this mellow magpie not making a sound, it is also a little slumped. The wood pigeon rests for a long time in the tree. Back to the squabbling starlings. The long shadow from the pigeon's beak makes a lovely shape under its chin. The light in its eyes is also very pretty. As the seagulls circle overhead, this is where we must leave it for today. My ears still ring from the shrieks of young blackbirds and the cries of their frantic parents. It's hard to tell if any baby birds were killed during the raid. As I've said before, there are many nests in that tree on different levels. It's very possible some nestlings from robins or wrens or other smaller birds perished in that moment. It was the way that young magpie rapidly cleaned itself and then dove back in that made me think something in there got eaten. The juvenile blackbirds got out alive. That's something, I suppose. Until next time, goodbye.